Hey, welcome back to another episode of Chit Chats with Chris and Carlie. Typical Italian, never without coffee.
Hey. Third cup today. Still don't feel super awake, but.
So, on that, we were talking about just recent events for us, just kind of catching up. And the last 2 weeks, we've been pretty busy with kids, 2 teenage daughters, well, 18-year-olds, I should say. Are
young
off.
adults.
Yeah, young ladies are now officially flew the coop. They are off to school. One, of course, in Cali, going to college, and the other one in Arizona going to esthetician school or cosmetology school. And I couldn't be more proud of them and their choices and the young ladies they've turned into. And
His daddy heart is hurting a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those. Just kind of reflecting on it and reflecting back as a child myself. A lot of people would see it as trauma, and it can be a little bit, some of the stuff I went through with my childhood concerning my mom, and then, other things as far as reflection for me was just when I left for the military. But it all relates to, recognizing that, in some instances, when we lose somebody, whether it's a friend, a family member, or somebody we love, we can lose them traumatically and suddenly. It can be right in front of us, and it can be unfolding in front of us over a period of days, months, years too, depending if it's terminal illness or addiction and all that. And, my mother, she died of an overdose. Regrettably, she chose a life of addiction and yo-yoed up and down with recovery and in and out and things that choices she made. It affected, of course, us not actually having a relationship through my adolescent years and even through adulthood. And I, definitely learned a lot from that. And it helped instill some strong boundaries for myself, and then I passed forward to my kids. And, moving my daughters, I got to talk about those and reinforce, why maybe some of the things that we were very passionate about, or very strong feelings we had, or emotions, or the boundaries when they were kids, and what they meant and the reason behind them personally. And a lot of it was allowing myself to be present when I was moving my daughters, openly and honestly answering questions to their curiosity about my past and things that I went through, and knowing to be able to reflect and tell them, like, hey, I loved my mom, I cared for her, I cared about her, didn't have a relationship, but everything that I know about my mom helped me choose the path that I did, become the person that I am. And, the boundaries of just don't do drugs. I drank alcohol for a long time, especially through the military, and then in the last 2.5 years, just not, because I understand how, dangerous it can be, and it's not a good choice for my body, for my personal choices. It's not something I want to be part of my life, or for us, either of us. So, just talking to them about that as they become 18 and they're going out on their own, and they have to face these choices now as young women. I think there's an argument to be made that society is a little bit different from what I went through, from when you went through our early 20s, and what they're going to go through.
Yeah, it was definitely different for me, being on a different continent, but still crazy nonetheless.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really important to just appreciate everything that Chris went through and how shitty he could have turned out. Instead, he didn't make his suffering his identity. He didn't make his pain his identity. And I think a lot of us do that. We create a whole life around using the traumas and dramas that have happened in our lives as an excuse, as a crutch, as the lens that we look through when it comes to everything in our life. And normally, because we're getting something out of it, when we make that pain our identity, whether it's attention, whether it's familiarity, whether it's sympathy from other people, whether we just use it as an excuse to not grow and to not achieve our full potential in life, because we're like, oh, well, this thing happened to me, so I can't be this amazing human. I'm like, no, it should be the opposite. Like, identity is an illusion. It's a narrative. It's a story that we kind of create in our heads anyway. Like, we can change our identity any day. We can choose what we want it to be, like 99% of it anyway. So I'm obviously very grateful that he didn't turn into a little shit.
Yeah.
But I think we often choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. Like, that pain and that suffering can become so familiar that we're like, we'd rather just stay stuck in that instead of stepping into the unknown and recreating our lives and recreating our identity in a way that actually serves us, our family, and our community. So
I think to piggyback on what she's saying is the idea that if you're doing that to yourself, you are in turn doing that to your family and passing that on to your kids. And we talk about generational wealth as well as generational trauma. Your kids do not deserve to live out the events that you lived, especially if they were traumatic, that had significant bearing on you. And they don't get to choose, they shouldn't have to choose to live that out in a negative way. You can take positives from any negative situation and implement it. It may be hard to pull some of those positive aspects out, but they're still there. Yesterday, I took my daughter to go visit her grandmother, my mother's grave. Regrettably, when she passed away, she had no known relatives listed. Nobody knew who to get in contact with. So she was a ward of the state. And because she died of an overdose and she didn't have any money or any of that, this county and state where she reside put her in the county cemetery. And the only thing that's there in the whole cemetery for everybody is a single brick with their name on it in a field of literally thousands of people. And the first time I found out she was there, she was buried there by the county, was literally less than a month after she passed. And they did not have a grave marker yet or any way to signify where she was buried at. Fast forward 15 years to yesterday, not because I didn't want to go back or for any other reason than it didn't happen. But we went and saw my mother's grave, found the brick that's her headstone. And one of the conversations I had with my daughter while we were standing there in the presence of my mom's memory or remains, or however you want to look at it, was, what little you know about your grandmother's life and what I've told you and what I remember, use as a positive aspect of, a life lesson of what not to do, because you don't want ultimately your life to end up, all that's left of it is a brick in an open dirt field with your name on it. And I don't fault my mom. It's the time frame she grew up in, this and the things she got caught up in, some bad situations. And yes, it's a choice. It's a hard choice, especially for anybody who's lived a life of addiction, to get out of that and to move out of it. And something that I want to pull a point to is, like Carlie talked about generational trauma. If you're passing it on to your kids, you're still living it. You need to stop suffering in silence, and you need to not try to work through it alone. Be open and talk to your spouse. From the time yesterday to the last night to this morning, she and I have had conversations about feelings and things that came up about visiting my mom's grave. I actually was successful in finding a house that I had strong memories growing up with and it's out in the middle of nowhere, but I was able to find it. And as soon as I pulled up, it was instant flashbacks and memories and things that I was able to, in the moment, be present with my daughter, and she had enough wherewithal to ask me very, very interesting and very cool questions about, hey, what do you remember? What is this? What is it? How do you feel right now? What is it you're thinking about? Or, different memories, like telling her about climbing in a certain tree, and then I climbed in the back tree back there all the time. And then one of the times my step-grandfather yelled from across the yard, hey, Christopher, come here. And apparently there was a huge rattlesnake that was working its way across the grass coming after me, or coming at me while I was playing, and I had no idea. And the valuable lesson that he taught me was, you never, the snake in the grass philosophy. It's like, this is a perfect example, grandson, of you never turn your back. You always got to keep your situation where it's going. And he showed me right then and there how to chop the head off a rattlesnake, pick them both up in the bucket, in a 5-gallon bucket, and then we took it over and he let me feed it to the chickens to say, the symbology and all of that. And I got to share that with my daughter yesterday, and she was like, holy crap. I'm like, yeah, like that was part of my childhood. And taking a bath in a middle basin outside, that's what they would do. They'd throw me in the cold water, give me a soap outside, and I'd just have a heyday. And of course it's super warm where it's at anyway, so that was fun. And harvesting chickens. There was a table. I got taught how to properly skin them, cut the head off, take the organs out, what parts were important, and all of that, and did that at a really young age. But needless to say, a lot of it comes down to the point. I think the message for today is, you're going to have memories. You're going to go through a lot of things in life, and you should never go through them alone or keep them to yourself or suffer in silence. And your traumas do not have to be your identity, as Carlie said.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it doesn't mean that like the pain wasn't real or it didn't happen or whatever. Like, it's real. Lean into it. Like, process it. Figure out what the lesson is. Like Chris said, most things in life they're not inherently bad or good. They just are. We're the ones that attach meanings to things and feelings. So you can decide what meaning you attach to certain memories or to certain experiences or to, whatever it is. So yeah, doesn't mean the pain wasn't real. It's freaking real. It's freaking raw. It freaking hurts, but do something with it. Yeah,
so I guess the question, in closing, that I would love for everybody to ask themselves is, why are you allowing the pain that you've gone through and experienced in the past dictate your future, as well as influence the future of your loved ones and vector or dictate the path that they're going to follow? Like, don't do it. Yeah,
you can make a conscious choice, a decision, kind of make life whatever you want it. So
yeah,
you've got the power.
yeah, absolutely. And always look for the positive in everything. Positive mental attitude, PMA. Yes. Always. For instance, and last thing I'll put out here, I was given this early spring by a friend in our community, Sweet Baby Jesus. Up close, if you were to look at him, he has his hands open like this, standing there. But I carry this in my pocket everywhere ever since that person gave it to me. And I will rub it like this, no different than like a totem or just kind of a little good luck charm, or just a reminder that before I act, speak, or say, or do anything, regardless of how much animosity or dislike somebody may have for me, or how hard the conversation might be, or whatever the situation is, by touching and rubbing on this and thinking about this guy right here, Sweet Baby Jesus, the question I ask is like, okay, you're being challenged. What would Jesus tell you to do? What would Jesus say? What would he say that you need to do? And right, wrong, or indifferent, whether you're religious or not, I'm a man of faith. I don't go to any specific church or religion or anything, but I'm also a firm believer in the universe as well. So that's my choice. That's how I choose to live my life. But this right here has definitely all year given me peace. And I think it's important. You got to be happy and you got to have peace. Yeah. So go find your happiness. Go find your peace, whether it's Sweet Baby Jesus or it's your spouse, which I hope it is, or it's your family, whatever it is. Go find your freedom outside.
Damn straight. All right.
Bye.
Ciao for now. Bye.